Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this Daily Hindu last video. In the morning these videos come and in the evening the MCQ lessons they come. So both the lessons you need to follow religiously, and we are discussing these issues in much detail because before the mains these articles are of utmost importance, and facts you see facts in the MCQ lesson, you see facts on various places, but the explanation of these articles is extremely important. So follow both the lessons. 30-minute lesson is there in the morning and 15-minute lesson is there in the evening. Pocket News app is running on Google Play. You can download that, and regarding these courses you can have the description below the video, and you can call on these numbers, and you can visit the website also. The chat section is available there. PDF you will get here on this Facebook group, and the Telegram channel's link you will also find there. You can follow me on Instagram too, and these are some words that I found today. Now the first article regarding the controversy of the Hindi Divas, where Home Minister said that Hindi is the only language that can be a unifying factor for this whole country. But you see, Hindi has been always a controversial issue, especially in the southern part of India, where Hindi is not a mother tongue, and there are classical languages, and those languages like Tamil, Telugu, they have the history of thousands of years, and they are way older than Hindi, and the respect and the acceptance that cannot be equal to those classical language for Hindi by those people, and the politics was too much centered on the language in the southern part of India. Even states were created out of the language factor, and people died, people sacrificed their lives actually for that particular reason. So so much sensitive issue is, and there if somebody would say that if a language which is spoken by 60% of the language, 60% of the population of this country, and mother tongue is there for only 25% of this country's population, so that language Hindi can be unifying factor, but that will be controversial because as the stats say, mother tongue is there for only 1/4 of the country, and 60% people speak and understand Hindi. So other languages are not that much small, you must say, because the people are also residing in foreign countries who speak Bangla, Telugu, and Tamil language, Malayali language. So the kind of acceptance you would expect from Hindi, that would not be there as much. And as I told you that political movements were there in the past, and those were anti-Hindi movements. So in this kind of situation, these kind of protests and aggression from the southern leaders, these are obvious. And again, as I told you, utility is way more important for the language. Language is always a sensitive issue, but only in those countries where simple region is there, and a similar kind of a population is there, and people are not that much diverse. So there they share a common past, culture, history, tradition, and the language. So that is a way more sensitive issue in those countries. But if you talk about India, India is a miracle. It's a kind of a most beautiful combination, and these are diversities which are having their own history, culture, tradition, everything, but still we all are a single country. So the imposition of any single language cannot be possible in this country. That's obviously true, and that's why when media discusses this issue with so much passion, that means something. Means in these crucial times when some deep troubles are there in the economy, unemployment situation is there, J&K situation is going on, a lot of problems are there, a lot of crimes are there, and they are discussing this issue with that much passion. Means they want to divert topics, they want to derail some crucial issues, and always they are very much expert in these issues, that they create new dramas always on the TV, and they confuse people, they divert people's focus from those crucial topics. So that thing is very much evident here, because here that thing is very much true, that in India, utility of the languages is way more important. If you talk about English, then English has helped India a lot, because English speakers, they are so much in number that our services sector grew because of English language, and we were preferred on the place of China, because more English speakers were there in this country. But that never means that we make English as our first language, the mother tongue. If you want to make that, that thing is not justified, accepted, and that thing is not practiced anywhere. English may be a status symbol for an elite class in India, but it is nowhere the first language. And people still want regional languages, mother tongues to be spoken. And obviously, regarding Hindi, the constitutional obligation is there that to develop this language, but nowhere it is said that it will be the national language of this country. So that's why we do not have any national language, neither English nor Hindi. And utility of English is there because, you see, this is the connected word. Most developed countries, English is spoken there, and because of that condition, because of this globalization issue, English is becoming more and more important. So it is not about making this language the most important one, it is about the utility of this language. We are at an advantageous position because of that language. So that's why the utility of English has proved to be the most important one. And in the same way, other languages can be improved in its value and utility there. So that's why in this age things are more important on their utility basis. And here, linguistic states which were created, most of them were not following the Hindi language there. So obviously this thing is not possible in this country, that you impose a single language on all the states. It's a beautiful culture, it's a culture of mix, it's a culture of diversity. So this culture of India, as we call it, it has many cultures inside that, and language is always a sensitive issue. If we see the numbers, 60% people read talk in Hindi and they understand Hindi, but mother tongue is there for only 25%. So it is the most spoken language in the country on the population numbers basis, but it is not spoken by all. So that's the case, and constitutional mandate is there. They tried this thing in the draft new education policy, but then they were bound to remove that, and again this controversy is coming here. And Article 343 talks about the Hindi language as the official language there, and they also mention the Devanagari script, the new Indian numerals there, and the English language. These things are mentioned in 343. And Article 351 says that it's a duty of the union to develop this Hindi language there. So Hindi is really the most important, but it is not the only language that you impose on all of them. So that is the issue, that is the problem there. GS paper 1 would be relevant here, important for 2 also, and important for ethics paper also, and for essay also. For all these papers it is a very relevant issue. Next, Indira Harvey talks about the economy's basic problems here, and what is the typical condition of India, and how this thing is related to the $5 trillion economy goal. Here she says that we have made this important goal, and Mr. Prime Minister, he talked about this issue, expressed his concerns and his aspirations, and all these people, the followers, the senior government officers and all these ministers and all, they took this line as a single motto, and everybody is talking about that. But practically what is happening, what we are doing for that, what are our aspirations, and what is our practical approach regarding that, she is talking about that. She says that let's take the condition of this country. 1% people have 60% of wealth, and 10% of the people who are there in the upper class, they have 80% wealth, and 90% people, they have only 20% of the wealth. So this is kind of a condition, unimaginably unequal condition in a country. In a similar city, there are people, and not far away from those big bungalows and big buildings, big palaces of the rich people, they are sleeping on the road without any shelter, all hungry stomachs, and after a distance of a few kilometers, you will see huge buildings there, and those people do not know how much money they have, how to manage that much enormous money, wealth there, and a wasteful life they are living. So this kind of condition is there. And here, if the $5 trillion economy goal we are making, already this condition is very much apparent that jobless growth is there, but still India is growing with a fast pace. India is the brightest spot, but it is the brightest spot for whom? For these 1% people, or maybe in a broad sense these 10% people, just that, because 90% people, they do not avail the benefit of this much huge economy. That's for sure. Maybe some facilities like the mobile internet and then some other digitization moves and all, these kind of things may be a positive impact, but other things, they are all enjoyable by the upper strata there. So if we achieve this goal, then only these people will be getting the benefit there. That's for sure, as they are continuing with the ongoing GDP numbers and the benefits out of it. Now, what we can expect here, how do we change that situation? Because changing this situation is necessary, because we are targeting demographic dividend there. Means the young population of this country, 15 to 65 years of age, and they are around 65-70% in number. So those people will help the economy there to grow. But this growth is going to whom? Who are the people who are getting the advantage of the hard work and the toiling of these youth people? That's a big concern, and it's an ethical question. Governments must be responsible for that, and they must be accountable for that, and they must be extremely concerned for that situation. But it doesn't look like that, because there is a reverse trend. They are now justifying the situation of these 1% people, the elite class, who are richest people, and who are running these businesses, and many of them, they have taken huge loans and they are not repaying. NPA situation is there because of that corporate sector. It is not there for only because of agriculture sector. Their share is too less, and the corporate share is too huge, and they write off these loans and all, and they can write off lakhs of crores of rupees, but the relief is not there for these farmers and the common people there. And you see, their struggle is actually taking this economy further. It is not only the corporate sector that is giving this growth. So highest level of unemployment rate is there. Demand is not there because people do not have disposable income with them. And the demographic dividend simultaneously we are targeting, but without the allocation in the health sector, without the allocation in the education sector, means whatever is required, you are not giving that much. Without that fulfilled requirement, how we can expect a demographic dividend? A generation where majority of that generation is not fully developed physically and mentally is way more important, because when the mental development is not there, the clear signs are like these people will be dependent, they will not be productive, they will not be creative, and they will be mob lynchers in the future. They may be blind followers of some foolish person, or maybe some smart political parties and all, and they will not do any productive thing in the economy, and they will not add anything in the economy, and they will be just a crowd. So that is the result of a low mental development, and that depends on the mental and physical health in the starting years of the lives. So if we are bound to spend around 6% of the GDP in the health sector, in the education sector, and around 3%, means it is the minimum numbers. Actually we need way more than that, but if the minimum numbers requirements is 3% of the GDP, where we are spending on education around 4% and on health just 1.5%, so you can imagine what kind of output, what kind of result, what kind of consequences will be there in the future, what kind of generation we will have in the future. Because under 5 kids, most of them are anemic, most of them are malnourished, and how much productivity we can expect there? Earlier the poverty was there, but the issue of malnutrition was not that much huge, but here the inequality is rising, the poor's, their numbers are rising, and their poor condition of the life, that is worsening with the time. So this is the condition. And if you go by the annual status of education report, ACER report, that is an annual report, and NGO based survey is there, where 2-day survey they do annually. One day it's a school timing, second day it's a holiday day. So all the districts and the rural areas, they are covered here, and they tell the situation of education in this country. So education is in the worst phase, and health is also very much problematic, and we have goals like end the TB, end the HIV, and the malaria and all, and this is our spending there. And whatever steps we have taken, those are also not necessary, because in the Ayushman Bharat the hospitalization needs are fulfilled, but not the basic requirement of the treatment there. So more power will be there for the private hospitals and all, more earning money will be there for them, and the big support which is needed in the basic primary healthcare, that will not be available for the common people. So the steps that we have taken, those are also controversial, and here these are all lacks. So here how we can expect demographic dividend there? It is certainly going to be a demographic disaster if we do not change these things, these basics there. These are really concerning numbers. Literacy rate has grown very slowly, and you see we are far behind many African countries like Rwanda, Morocco and Congo in terms of literacy. That's really a huge problem, and the results we are observing very nicely, because the education is already problematic, and the kind of backward India that we are observing, because they are not able to recognize the quality or the rubbish in the society, and they are the followers of some nonsensical things. Like we have seen many examples, some people are killing on the road in the name of cows and all, and religious fanaticism is rising, and the kind of generation that we are observing majorly in this country, that is hardly gonna add anything in the progress of this country, because their minds are so narrow, and their capacities, their intellectual abilities are really questionable. So that's why we need a giant leap from here. We need a quantum jump in public expenditure on education, and especially the important counseling and psychological factors must be very strong in the education especially, and in the health sector also. So these are our needs, and how much we are spending, that is apparently clear. In the health sector, actually according to experts, we need around 5 to 6% of the GDP, but our minimum numbers which are required are 3% of the GDP, and we are targeting, you will be shocked, we are targeting till 2025 as 2.5% of the GDP, and right now we are spending somewhere between 1 to 1.5% of the GDP. So these are our expenditures on health, and you know what is the condition of health in this country, what kind of challenges we have in this country. Communicable disease challenges, HIV challenges, malaria challenges, non-communicable disease are scaring now, and they are scaring mainly the average people, the poor people, the diabetes, the cancer. The biggest number of victims are poor people. What we are going to see in the future, you can imagine. So that's why we need to be concerned, we need to be extremely thoughtful of these situations, otherwise we cannot expect anything good in the upcoming decades there. Here, human capital formation, which is totally dependent on these basic things: healthy minds, healthy bodies, and proper development, proper education, proper skilling, then there will be a important sufficient human capital for this country. That thing is really under a deep stress, and the human capital is not there in its form, in its required form. That is the real reason for the slowdown there, and the unemployment situation is really drastic here. That's why even the Niti Aayog officials, they recently accepted that it's the worst crisis India is facing since independence. Means whatever claims were there, whatever things we heard in elections and all, whatever posters we saw that India is the brightest country and all, and here the Niti Aayog officials are bound to accept this thing, that it is the worst crisis India is facing since the independence. So what else is left? That there is a deep crisis, and what media is telling you and what they are discussing. So things are apparently clear. Jobs, where there were promises of giving new jobs, 2 to 3 crore jobs, and here they are bound to say that even the beggars, they have something to live with. Means one minister has justified begging as a as a thing to live with, means begging is also an employment according to them. The auto drivers, the truck drivers and all, according to them, these are also employments, as if these things were not there before, and as if these kind of employments are given to these people now only. So this kind of funny, bizarre and shameless situation is there in front of us, and that's why these big employers like the textile sector, automobile sector, these are losing jobs, means leave about the additional jobs, the existing jobs, they are going away. So that's why it's a deep crisis, and we have actually turned our eyes off from agriculture. The crisis is so deep that we are not even discussing that. These prime time news media houses, they have 5, 7, 10 days to discuss Mandir Masjid, Ali Bali. They have days to discuss the Hindi controversy there. They have days to discuss what some leader said, and what is so controversial, what is the people's demand there, religion. They can discuss everything, but they cannot discuss agricultural crisis, they cannot discuss economic crisis there, and they do not have time for that. They do not discuss the huge crimes which are being made today, the bad condition of the law and order in some states. They do not discuss that. They do not discuss the threat to the real journalists there, and they call themselves anchors, and they are real disaster creators for this country. They do not discuss agriculture. They do not have any focus there. Low public investment is there in the sector. As a consequence, there is no demand, aggregate demand in the economy, and that's why there is no supply. The low demand, low supply, and low production and low jobs, means in the future also we will have way more lesser jobs. So this is a cyclical crisis, and they are not even discussing that. Addressing, leave addressing, they are not even discussing that. Urgent need is there that they make public expenditure in this sector, and they raise funds for Narega like acts, because they are only the employment giver today, because agriculture is on a brink of a huge disaster, and nobody is going to take up agriculture in the future. So what else will be left for this country? We have to fulfill the requirements of food security. So who is going to fulfill that? Obviously corporate farming will be the next move very soon in this country, because most of the farmers, they are becoming more and more miffed with this option, and this is not viable at all. They are not even getting their inputs there. So leave about their incomes or doubling or tripling their incomes. These will remain all jumlas and all. And when they are not even discussing, they are not even showing the informations of their protests, their demands, their needs, they are not going to them to talk to them. So what we can expect here, and that's why the people of this country, they are ill informed. They do not know the real troubles there, and only a few newspapers, a few media houses are showing these kind of things, and they are told as anti-nationals. So that's the deep crisis, and that's why the intellectual crisis is way more deeper, and the questionable state of people's mind in this country is certainly there. They have to raise public employment if they want to raise the demand there. Around 2.5 million jobs are sanctioned and vacant. They need to fulfill that. Big start is needed for startups and MSMEs. They announced a lot of things, but on the ground we see very less. Labor intensive sectors like the gems, jewelry, textile, garments, leather goods, there can be big pushes for that. A lot needs to be done there, but they have done selectively for a few. Fall in demand is certainly the biggest problem today, and if that is not tackled very well very soon, then this economy is certainly going to be in a deep crisis. Already they have accepted that we are going through a worst phase since independence, and the problems are not being addressed in a proper way, and the supply side measures are being taken. They are not doing anything for the demand problem. Then certainly worst phase will be coming very soon for Indian economy. These are all not negative talks. These are truths based on the facts. IMEI said that the public expenditure is minimum in the last 5 years, and this is declining consistently. All these steps like reduction in repo rate, 70,000 crore rupees to the banks, RBI transfers and all, and these tax returns to the export sector and all. These are supply side measures. This will hardly do anything. And now a major shock is coming that the crude oil prices, they are going to rise there. The Saudi Aramco is attacked there, and 50% of the production is halted. So very soon it will be a deep problem. And for the common man, this is announced already that around 5 rupees per liter is gonna the price rise for petrol and diesel and all. So we may face many troubles very soon. So we need to take care of all these things. Otherwise, in the future, we need to be ready about very deep issues. Next article regarding Israel-Pakistan issues. Sujan Chinoy said that recently there was a discussion, and Pakistan and Israel, these two states are discussing the possibility of diplomatic ties, to establish diplomatic ties. But there are many concerns why this thing is not possible very soon, and what are the difficulties and challenges. Although the decision makers are there in both these countries, and they will decide about that issue, but we may talk about the situations there. Israel was founded in 1948, and all these Arabian Muslim countries and all, they opposed this issue. Huge wars were there, and 1949, 67, 79, 1994, many problems were there in West Asia, and America's support was there with Israel. Because of that, all technologies developed, all the support was there, weapons were developed, and today it's a developed country with a huge might there, and it is exporting many weapon systems to many countries, including India. The Barak 8 missile is the prime example there. So these countries, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, and obviously Israel, obviously Iran and all, they do not recognize Israel, and consistent challenges are there for Israel. Recently, in the election time, Mr. Netanyahu said that after the elections, we are gonna annex the Jordan Valley also, and the northern Dead Sea area also. So these are raising a lot of concerns, and all these countries from OIC group and all. So you need to know about OIC also, all the members, which are the members, which are not, because a lot is going on. So you must be reading all the details regarding that. So I'm telling you. So these countries from OIC, they are very much concerned, and they convened an emergency session to discuss Israeli Prime Minister's statements. Now, regular and scathing indictment by Islamic World, notwithstanding, Israel has been successful in gradually expanding its diplomatic profile beyond its immediate neighborhood. Means Israel is consistently making effort to make more and more ties with world countries. We established our relation in 1992, but we are balancing this issue between Israel and Palestine. We recognize both, but in the recent years we are more inclined towards Israel, that's for sure. And there is a huge advertisement of Israel in India, and the ruling party, they recognize Israel in a very positive manner, and all these social media campaigns are there regarding Israel. So we can understand that situation very well. So we are maintaining very good relations with Israel today, and obviously Israel is certainly making consistent efforts, and that is also in the line. So the Pakistan country, Islamic country, and this is a kind of a iron arm for the Muslim world, because it has nukes there, and it supports the security systems and the safety of many countries, like its forces. Pakistan's forces are there in Saudi Arabia and Jordan there. So these countries, they see Pakistan as an important pillar there. So Pakistan is not ignored there, but the present condition of Pakistan is way more complex. Here you see, as I told you, in 1992 we established our relations, and all these wars in 48, 67 and 73, Israel tackled these things very well, as it had many issues with the neighbors, like we have with Pakistan and China, and we tackled all these things very efficiently. So some similarities are there with Israel and India. So both are tackling the issue of terrorism also, and this important trajectory which is there today. whose credit is certainly going to our Prime Minister, because the personal rapport which is created by Mr. Modi ji with these leaders like Putin, Trump and Netanyahu, these things are really dynamic and really great. So the credit goes to our leader also. And no doubt, if we talk about Israel and Pakistan, then Iran issue is very important. Iran is a neighbor of Pakistan and many issues are there. But you see, you must remember that Iran is a Shia country and Pakistan also has 20% Shia people. So Israel cannot expect that Pakistan will go totally against Iran. And obviously many issues are already there, and immediate neighbor. Many problems can be there in the future. So Pakistan will not go in attacking Iran anyway. That Israel wants for sure. So that is also the biggest reason there, that the Iran factor will not be a suited topic between Pakistan and Israel. And this Israel country continues to look beyond the confines of its immediate region. Means it has influence in Syria, it has influence in Lebanon, it has influence in Yemen. So influence is there. Like in Yemen, the issues going on, the Houthis are supported by Iran, and these are Shia groups, and America has alleged a lot of things. The recent attack on Saudi Aramco, that is also sponsored by Iran according to America. So a new kind of situation can be there between Iran and Saudi Arabia, because till now Yemen was fighting with Saudi Arabia. Means the Houthis were attacked by Saudi Arabia. Now America said that Iran is supporting this war, and the attack on Saudi Aramco is indirectly by Iran. Then there can be a new complexity arising in the West Asia region. So a lot of complexities are there regarding Iran, and Pakistan would not go into these complexities very easily. So that's why. So the Iran issue is very complex there. So that cannot be a great factor between Pakistan and Israel ties. And we are discussing here the India-Israel links. Then we had to discuss the China situation also. Israel was also having diplomatic ties with China, and they established in the same year in 1992 when they established these relations with India, and they were selling some arms also, but those are more economic relations. And you can say that comparatively India is maintaining great relations with Israel there. So Israel is trying very hard to connect with many countries, because the question is there by Arabian countries that Israel is not a country. So Israel would want more and more recognition there, more and more power and its influence there. As a professor Afraim Inbar from Jerusalem Institute of Strategy and Security, he said that Pakistan's national interest would better be served by having ties with Israel, because Israel carries weight in Washington, and America's support Pakistan always needs. Although many complex situations are going on, and regarding the Taliban issue, America is bound to talk with Pakistan, but if this support from America that comes from a different way also, then Pakistan would welcome it. So Israel is very good with America, and this good relation with Israel may benefit Pakistan-America relations. So that's why Pakistan can be better served there. But the concerns regarding Iran would halt the process there. Okay, as I told you, Pakistan is considered as the sword arm of the Sunni world. Although 80% population is there Sunni, 20% population is Shia. But because of its power, the nuclear power there, Pakistan is considered the sword arm of the Sunni world. And what is the Sunni world? Means apart from Iran, all these countries, they are considered to be the Sunni world. Mainly Saudi Arabia is the leader there. So that's the issue. And as I told you, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, they do not have great military might there. So Pakistan's support is there in their security. So it's a very complex situation. Means Pakistan is maintaining good relations with Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and this Iran situation is also there. It cannot spoil the relations totally with Iran. So that's why many complexities are there. And if Pakistan were to establish diplomatic ties with Israel, it would dilute its Islamic credentials and lead to a weakened support base within this OIC group. Recently on the Kashmir issue, it got support from OIC group, They arranged an important meeting and all these things were discussed. So because of Saudi Arabia, Jordan and the Sunni world, Pakistan has a good hold in this Islamic countries group. And if it goes with Israel, then certainly that credential will be lost in a way. So that is also a big reason there. So that is the issue of international problems. Domestic problems can be there. A regime in Pakistan would also face the heat from its many domestic conservative Islamist group, because Israel is totally anti-Islamic. Everybody knows that. But that cannot be considered internationally. So in the diplomatic ties, many things are covered and they are handled very well, and these extreme things are not considered. But the reality is known to all. So the Islamist group, they will attack the government if they are going to establish ties with Israel. So that is also the reason. And all these issues combinedly make things very complex. So although they are discussing this issue that they should establish these ties, and many scholars, they are also supporting this move, but this idea remains for now a pie in the sky. Means we cannot expect, according to us, that this will be possible very soon. And the India factor can also be there, because India is maintaining a great relation with Israel today, and the Pakistan situation is very, very complex. And Israel, according to India, hardly would want to go in a relation with the country which supports terrorism. So Pakistan is a terrorism sponsor. We all know about that. So that factor will also be hindering this process. So the rest of the things we will discuss tomorrow, and a very important small article is left, and the facts we will discuss in the MCQ lesson. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sani.